that someone who needs a test to go to work in an aged care facility can't do so safely because they can't access a RAT is a position that's untenable. And that's why it's reached the point whereby the former Premier of New South Wales, Mike Baird, who runs Hammond Care, one of Australia's largest aged care providers, is talking about bringing the army to make beds in aged care facilities. How is it that Australia has got to this point? Enough is enough of this incompetence presided over by a Prime Minister who always says he doesn't hold a hose, or it's not a race for vaccines. It was never a race for rapid antigen tests. That was someone else's job. Australian visas, that's someone else's job. How about he just does his job and accept responsibility?
Mr Albanese, last time Labor was in government, you were part of a cabinet that shut down the live cattle export industry to Indonesia. What is your message to farmers, graziers, cattle producers across Northern Australia why Labor can be trusted to act in their interests next time and not buckle to social media activists?
My message to farmers is we're on your side. We're on your side when it comes to backing your industry. We have been here making this announcement today, but yesterday we were with the head of Queensland cane growers. Had a terrific meeting with Paul Shembury in Mackay. Had a look at his farm, met with other producers as well about the challenges of that industry. The day before, we were at Australia's largest prawn farm, run by Tassal, just outside of Proserpine, talking about their needs. Before that, we were in Tully, talking to a banana grower, the head of the Banana Growers Association of Queensland. We want to work with industry. And my record as a minister in a government for 6 years is of creating Infrastructure Australia, creating Regional Development Australia, creating the Australian Council of Local Government. In each area that was characterised by a cooperative frame in the Hawke tradition, a cooperative frame whereby you get business and unions and community leaders around the table, you ask them, people on the ground, including through local government, what their needs are, and you get better outcomes. Better processes produce better outcomes. That's something I'm committed to. You don't have to look at what I say, look at what I've done. Create, even in terms of the criticism of the LNP, Infrastructure Australia is still there. It's been undermined somewhat, but it's still there. Regional Development Australia, still there. Lasting legacies, showing that we got it right, and if you implement those processes fully, you'll get even better outcomes.
How committed are you to how would you fix the current workplace and supply shortages?
Well, what we need to do, I might ask Jim to comment on this as well, but quite clearly, this government can't continue to wait until a problem becomes a crisis before it acts. Clearly, part of the problem with the workplace shortages which are there is that people can't get access to tests. This government, this federal government, has sat back and watched while PCR tests have become less available, with a number of the private companies withdrawing from the number of places where people can go get tested. Australians have been magnificent during the last 2 years. They have done everything that was asked of them. They made sacrifices. They put up with constraints on their activity. They went out and got tested when they thought they needed to do so. And what they deserved was the second part of that bargain, that social contract, was that the government would be there for them. So many times with this government, including on funding of local projects, this government says, if you can't do something for the LNP, then you're on your own. They won't do anything for you. That's not our approach. Our approach is to support every community, but it's also to support workers. Workers need access to testing. They need it, and they need to do it in a way in which the most efficient way to do it is to make it free. This government, when they announced some testing for free for concession card holders, then went out afterwards and told pharmacists that they were on their own accessing the tests to be made available for concession card holders. It is just extraordinary, the arrogance of this government. And as I said, I think Australians are getting to the point whereby they want a government that actually governs and governs in their interests, not one that always says, I don't hold a hose, or it's not a race when it comes to access to the vaccines, or I don't drive a delivery truck. Enough of the photo ops. Enough of the photo ops. This bloke needs to do his job.